Far away from the hazards and claustrophobia of modern city life, let's take a boat to Piel Island, just off the Lancashire mainland at Barrow in Furness. If you like solitude, you couldn't wish for a better spot, for there are only 2 landmarks on the whole island, and one the ruins of this early 13th century castle. The castle was built by the monks of Furness Abbey to ward off Scottish invaders, and as late as the 15th century it was a base for several thousand troops. Today, the island's only permanent inhabitants, a husband and wife, live alone in this rather different home. Provisions and mail for the 2 residents are taken over from the mainland once a week, besides the occasional sightseers at weekends. In all other ways, the inhabitants, Dan and Sarah Rooney, are completely independent. They even generate their own electricity. In summer months, Mr. and Mrs. Rooney run the island's tiny inn, but Dan, a former policeman, is also traditionally known as the king of Piel Island. Dan and his wife have lived here alone for 6 years and loved every minute. During the summer, of course, they're not short of company, but during the off-season, there's no one else on the island for weeks on end. Without even a telephone line, they'd have to light a fire near the castle to attract attention in an emergency. Still, as you'll have gathered by now, they're a pretty dependable couple. The traditional ceremony of creating knights and ladies of the ancient order of Piel Castle is carried out about twice a year by King Dan. The knight designate must swear to help in the running of any local sports, such as cockfighting and bull baiting. We did say it was an old charter. In return for these solemn vows, he is in turn assured that should he be shipwrecked and half drowned, he can demand a free night's lodging at the inn, which is fair enough, we suppose. The bargain is sealed with a gallon of beer. They were full of good ideas in those good old days.